What an intro, huh?
Yeah, David and I were totally jamming out. He had no rhythm, but he says, you can't make this shit up. David Washington, Kellen Clark, Joel Hoxley, I believe, is on the other end.
Hello, Joel.
Nope.
Hello, David. This is interesting. We have said that we weren't going to talk about this subject anymore, and again, another week comes by where it's stuck right there in the face of the American people. G-U-N, gun.
I just can't help my addiction to guns. I just can't. And that's why we have Cullen here to kind of intercede, to help me wean off my addiction to the conversation about guns.
Every time we're pulled back out, it pulls back in.
I thought I was out.
So this is about a particular.
So I just want to shoot. I just want to shoot a couple of ideas out there. Thank you.
Well played.
Okay.
But this particular show or this particular article that we're referencing talks about a gun shop owner, or no, I'm sorry, a trained. What's the word I'm looking for? A trained gun instructor.
Gun safety instructor.
Gun safety instructor. You see,
Yeah, it was a gun safety instructor who has found that since Florida no longer requires it for licensing, because we don't really do licensing the way we used to.
Or permitting.
What?
Or permitting.
Or yeah. You don't have to get the permit. You don't have to take the safety course for the permit. Mm-hmm. People are opting to not take the course. Because once it's optional, nobody wants to take it. And he has started offering it for free.
Lock and load on this one, guys. Lock and load on this one. You can. We are not going to. We are not going to. We are a society of less regulation. If you take that regulation away from me, and I don't have to spend the money, this poor guy is not making as much money because he's
offering for free.
No. See, that's the thing.
He's offering it for free now.
He's offering it for free because he wants people to buy his guns. Because the only reason you do these classes is so that you do them at a gun, at a sales place, so that you can buy one. I mean, this is a.
Well,
this
the
is
people who are. Well, people who are in his shop are going to buy the guns anyways. That's why they're there to buy a gun, Joel.
Right.
Not necessarily. I've gone to many a shop and not bought the gun, and I don't have to take one. Because I have a DD-214, because I served in the United States military, and a big shout out to anybody that is a veteran out there, because this is your week. This is your day is coming up on November 11th. Thank you for your service, and thank God that the state of Florida has enough respect for you to say you don't have to take this stupid safety test. Because you've shot a gun before. This is for somebody who has never shot a weapon before, has no idea of what they're about to get into. And I think those people do take the test.
Well, that was what the gun shop owner was saying, that a lot of people, in lieu of the shootings in Maine, in Tampa, and other places, because there was a lot this past week, a lot of people have been purchasing guns for the first time. It's a trend all over the country. And a lot of those people were choosing not to take the course, saying that they didn't want to spend their time doing it. They just wanted to have the gun for self-defense, but they didn't need to actually train on how to use it.
And he saw a 68% drop in people actually taking the course.
And I'm sure some of those people know what they're doing, but I'm also sure not all of them know what they're doing, and some of them do need the course. Not if we no longer require a permit to get a gun. Imagine if we no longer needed a permit to get a car. Some people would drive perfectly fine.
Carry a gun.
Yes.
I hope you're not going there. I hope you're not going there, Kellen.
I
really hope you're not going there. Because I think people would drive better without insurance than those people with insurance. So I'm going to tell you right up front.
Wow.
If you're renting a car, you don't drive that rental like you drive your own car. If you have insurance, you don't drive as safely as if you don't have insurance. There's a lot that goes into this. But that's another complex story for a different day. But think about it. Regulation breeds regulation. Okay? this store is losing money, even though there's an increase in weapon sales because there's a Democrat in office. Always an increase when a Democrat's in office. The shootings don't have anything to do with how many more guns he's selling or anything else, because people are not all people are afraid.
Well, no, this week specifically, there is a massive spike, and this was measured. This week specifically, there is a massive spike of new gun owners because of the shooting.
What are those numbers? Because what are those numbers?
I would need to look them back up to know.
But I don't see them here.
And it varies by state.
And I think that that happens a lot of times when there is a spike in mass shootings, that there's going to be more people purchasing guns. Also, there's been studies upon studies. I believe the last study that I mentioned in past podcasts from the Brookings Institute states that there's at least a 20 to 24% increase in gun violence, and that is documented. That is true.
You know, in gun violence,
when you pass laws like the one that was passed here in Florida that does not require a permit, training, or things like that.
Yeah, but you can classify. This is the thing. You know, our classification of gun violence, right? The violence being the word. How is suicide violent?
Well,
I'm not just asking. I mean, suicide is not a violent crime. It is a
it's not. No. Then let me clarify.
So why is it part of the study?
Gun violence. There's
gun deaths.
So there's
gun violence.
So there's
suicide is violent.
There's been an increase in
someone commits suicide by killing themselves with a gun.
There has been an
deleting
increase.
themselves.
Correct. There's been an increase in depression and mental health issues because of the economy, which is the Biden economy, which is also inflicting people to buy and purchase guns and actually kill themselves. So if mental health is a concern, then you have to add that into your equation, because that's part of the whole picture. So when you have a database, you have to have all the parameters.
I don't think you can blame the Biden economy on the increase in self.
That does not. Unless you have some kind of like study that can show you like some kind of correlation, or like some strong connection. I would not trust that an economy that isn't doing well would get people to lock and load and start shooting people and shooting themselves.
No. I didn't say shooting others. I'm talking about. I only was talking about suicide. So, and suicide being part of your violent.
But I think it's a stretch when you tie self-deletion to the Biden economy. That's a stretch.
And it's also important to
know
that
I don't think it's a
president
stretch.
only does so much. So
I think it's a stretch to take any hypothesis and try to make it fact.
Well, being a former mental health professional, yes, your own personal economic situation does play into some of the self-deletion attempts that I've seen in the past. However, couple that with relationship issues, job issues, and other factors.
What do you mean job issues? There's no job issues. The economy is perfect.
No. I'm saying my past experience.
Okay.
Coupled with issues at work, issues in your personal relationships, issues at school, whatever. But to tie self-deletion to the Biden economy, I think that's a stretch.
Because the main thing about psychology is that everything has multiple. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I honestly don't think it's a stretch to say that there is an increase in depression because of the economy. That's fact. That's fact. You know,
I'd like to see those facts. I really would like to see those facts because there's a lot of people doing it pretty well in this economy. No different than the Trump years, no different than the Clinton years, no different than Reagan years. I mean, you can make an argument for, the trickle-down economics being the contributing factor to self-deletion and the crime rate, et cetera, et cetera.
No, because people actually got real jobs after the depression of the Carter
Define real
administration. So
jobs. Define real jobs.
a real living wage job that increased over the
Like-
time that Ronald Reagan was there, that people weren't working at McDonald's flipping burgers and saying that's a living wage job. That wasn't what was
So they're
happening.
working more at
in the
Chick-fil-A.
1980s.
They're working more at Five Guys.
And they
they're
were working one
more-
job, and under Donald Trump, there were less people working multiple jobs, and we had a low unemployment rate. Now, how do you explain that now that people have multiple jobs again and an economy they can't keep up with? Those are facts that we know for the economy today is looking good because people have to take in multiple jobs to make multiple increases in
Well,
the cost of food.
The economy
cost
has
of
definitely
shelter.
changed. The economy has definitely changed. When people were not able to go into their offices, they changed their habits. They created, this is a creator economy, a hustle economy. You have Uber, you have Lyft, you have folks in the tech industry who have started their own businesses. You have influencers on social media. There's going to be a time where you won't need big name celebrities to pitch your product. It's going to be your local influencer. It's going to be, the nurse who goes on TikTok and gives her, opinion about what's happening in, and I forgot her name, but what's happening in politics or things like that. The economy has definitely changed, and so you're not looking at a pre-pandemic economy anymore. You're looking at people doing different side hustles to make ends meet. You're seeing a totally different economy now, and that gives us a little bit more freedom to determine our own fate. We're not tied to a particular job anymore and its benefits. If you want to talk about if you want to talk about how things are getting better, we can look back at our episode about the UAW and the contracts that they negotiated with the big three. Improvement. And this economy where companies are making billions upon billions in near record and record profits. Don't tell me that more money went to the 0.01% during the pandemic. They got richer, we got poor, and said that, oh my God,
I just want to point out to the audience,
it's union's fault or our fault or the government's fault. No.
I just want to point out to the audience that I didn't want to talk about the other thing, and now we're talking about the economy. Bingo, love it, thank you. We're not talking the economy instead of the guns. No, I mean honestly, I can see many different factors, but this is a non-story. I mean, I don't see how this people not taking a safety course makes anything more dangerous. I think that everybody should have a gun, everybody should shoot their neighbor, and everybody has some fun.
Nice. Well, there is a specific reason why this is difficult, and it came from a lobbying organization who was tied, with the firearms industry. They said if the first time you ever actually have to learn about your gun is when you use it for the first time, then that is a problem. Good guys with guns, sure, that can work if the good guys are good with their guns. Good guys who aren't trained at handling their gun, good guys who don't know the basics of gun safety, I don't trust those good guys to protect me.
Okay.
Because good guys who don't know how to shoot their gun are going to miss. Good guys who don't know the basics of safety are going to shoot themselves in the foot because their safety was off. There are lots of things that idiots with guns can get up to. A lot of people, like in the hundreds, die per year of looking down the barrel of a hunting rifle. This is a cause of death in the U.S. in the triple digits every single year. I do not trust a lot of people who don't know the first thing about firearms. Maybe they think they do because they watch movies or play video games, but they don't. And then have them not know what they're doing. If good guys are going to have guns, to stop bad guys with guns, good guys have to be good with guns, better than the bad guys. But
well said.
That's not what we're promoting.
We're not trending.
So the National Rifle Association. So the National Rifle Association is an organization that was formed for gun safety. It was primarily a organization that helped make sure that people knew exactly what to do. The very first thing you ever do when you get a weapon or a gun in your possession is you check to make sure that the barrel is empty. So you don't ever get to use it until you actually know it's empty. So if you got a person who's selling it correctly, you're already teaching an individual the very first basic steps at that moment. Now, some of these people may be buying these guns and not taking a safety course, but they go to a range where they can actually physically shoot this absolute weapon.
But are they really going to a range?
No, most gun
Some
owners
are.
don't
You're
routinely
making
go
an assumption. Everybody's
Some.
making assumptions that everybody's doing not doing anything. Listen, just because the numbers, you want all the numbers to say, oh, I want everybody to take the gun safety test. How about the ones that are taking the gun safety test? How about those ones that are taking the gun safety test by going in the United States military and serving for a purpose in life? How about the people that go to the gun range and actually
Like
practice so that
Robert
they have accurate, that they are accurate and that they are going to use the weapon?
And Joel, I think making putting in exceptions, I think is perfectly fine. If someone has prior firearm training in the military or in the police force, anything like that, I think it's totally fair that they should get an exception to some of those permitting requirements for carry. It's people who
Sure.
don't have any of those experience. The
But what if these numbers?
vast
But
majority.
what if these numbers
that
are
don't.
people? What if these numbers that you're talking about are people that are veterans or service members that aren't taking this test because they don't have to in the first place? But now you don't have to prove that you have a DD-214, right? So you may be making a mistake in your numbers by counting people out that would have been out in the first place.
The majority of people who buy guns each year are not those people. There are a lot of them.
Who are those
A
people?
lot of them. No, a lot
Who
of
are those
a lot
people
of
that buy
those,
guns?
a lot of
Please
them are
describe one of those
ordinary
people.
neighborhood people. They are people who hold a simple 9 to 5. There are people who are scared about self-defense. People who may not live in the best neighborhood. They're not always people who are well trained and have served. A lot of times, it's just people who are concerned for their own safety. People concerned for self-defense. And that goes well beyond your occupation, that everybody has those concerns, and it's going up more and more and more. Remember the Tampa shooting that Anjali and I talked about last week? It was some random. It was some random guy.
Let him finish, Joe. Go ahead.
In the Tampa shooting a week ago that Anjali and I talked about, that person who owned a gun and carried it for self-defense had no connections to law enforcement. He had no connections to the military, no connections to anything. He was just a random worker who then got into a fight and had a gun. That guy was a key example. You get people like that who will not be trained. And I doubt that guy knew anything about the laws of self-defense, how it actually works. Most people like to claim self-defense for things that aren't. That gets people in jail. It gets people to take bold action that they otherwise wouldn't take. You promote without, if you don't, as sad as it sounds, and it's the same way with road safety, if you don't partially strong arm people into taking safety, to understanding the law, any of those ordinary Joes, not the veterans, not the police officers, they'll take no effort to. Sad, and it sucks to say, but then they'll take no effort to, and they set themselves up for accidents with their weapons. It sets them up for taking action that they shouldn't take.
So let's look at that exact situation that you're talking about.
Just handling a firearm. It's also understanding the laws. And in these particular trainings, it also includes where you can carry a firearm, where it's prohibited, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's just the idea of understanding the law and what is permissible and what is not permissible. And people who have decided not to do this, and if it's their first time handling the firearm, they're missing valuable information that could be detrimental to the public safety.
If they get into a conflict and they think that they're using their firearm for self-defense, but legally it doesn't count. Because in a lot of cases, what we would think was self-defense is not really self-defense. It's a very narrowly tailored definition of self-defense. And if you don't know that and you take
Okay,
action,
so
you're going to
please
prison
tell me.
anyways.
So tell me about stand your law, stand your ground law. Tell me about the things that are very complex and that are very difficult for even the lawyers to come up with an agreement. And then I want to go back to Tampa, and I want you to say, look, I looked at Tampa, and you can't tell me if the guy took the class or didn't take the class. You're making assumptions saying he was an idiot and he did something stupid. He did something stupid by drinking and having a gun.
Correct.
Period. Doesn't matter if he's
Yes.
trained or not. He did something stupid and he created the problem. Now he could be fully trained, and you guys are saying, well, he didn't take the class. You don't know he didn't take the class because the coverage there's no coverage there. There's no newspaper that actually went to see if he took the training. Not that I've read. Now, if you find it, then you can say, well, he didn't take the safety class, and that kind of relates to where he's at. He was an idiot. He broke the law.
I bet you
And
$10,
idiots
Joel.
break the law.
I bet you
So that's what I'm
$10 he
saying.
didn't. I bet you
So you
$10
can't-
that he didn't. Because
you
majority, because
can't-
now it's about half.
Now you're telling everybody because you believe something to be true. It's not true until you prove it. So prove it, and
You're
then
right.
I'll pay.
It's
I'm not paying
speculation.
$10.
It is
I
speculation,
speculate
and
that that's
we'll
the
go
case.
we'll go with the speculation.
Yes.
However, the major concern is that over a 3-month period, same time over last year, with this particular gun shop owner or instructor, he's seen a 64% decrease in people interested in taking the training, which is a concern. It's a concern, and we can make the assumption that these are first time gun owners, first time individuals who are handling a firearm. We can speculate. However,
We can
the number
speculate all
is-
day. We can speculate all day until you
But the
take the
number is true.
hypothesis.
The
Until you,
number is a
the
reality.
number is
And
accurate for
going back to previous studies. There's a 24% increase in gun violence when these type of laws go into play.
And again, like the whole thing with veterans and armed forces, police academy, all those people being the main buyers, that is also speculation. You don't know if that
No, I
is
did not say they were the main. I did not say they were the main buyers. I said they could be because you only have the statistic
Could.
from one place. You have one shop owner that has a 68 or 64% decrease. What's the overall state decrease?
Right, it's anecdotal.
It is anecdotal. Okay, and this is the case with a lot of laws. It's also the case with the economy and why, tying a president to the economy during their term ends up being kind of a bad decision most of the time. It's because most legislation you can't fully measure until a year or so later. You can't know for certain every aspect about it. We don't have full table data about every person who buys guns, every person who doesn't, who takes safety courses, who doesn't. Why do they not take a safety course? Why do they take a safety course? We don't have that data because it doesn't exist yet, and we're not collecting it, so it's not going to exist either.
We also don't have the data on how many people truly died of a heart attack and died of a stroke or died of natural causes during COVID, because if they had COVID, they were classified as a totally different death. So there's going to be statistical data that is over time is going to be false, because we're going to look at data and say all these people died of COVID, and oh wow, we had a decrease in heart attacks, we had a decrease in strokes, we had a decrease in natural death. That's going to be 10 years down the road. It's going to be all forgotten. It's going to be all new statistics, and if the numbers have changed, they're not going to be COVID numbers when we get back. So that's what I'm saying. Statistics is
different.
whoever's using the statistics can use the curve in their favor.
The COVID data, especially here in Florida, it's a different matter. And with the DeSantis administration preventing transparency of that data, it's suspect. But it is a different matter, and it's unrelated to the issue of increased gun
statistics.
violence.
Well, and here's the thing with statistics like that. It is all like death statistics are vaguely exact. You're not going to get the exact number of people dead from a heart attack on any year. And yes, some of those COVID deaths are people who would have died anyways. However, it does show us how many people died with COVID is what it shows. How many people died with COVID And what you see is that when you take that and then how many people we know had COVID that we could identify, like how many cases we can identify, you can see that that mortality rate is super high. Yes, the statistics are imprecise because there's 5,000 outside variables, but you can draw a general conclusion. You can compare the infection rate to the death rate, even if they're approximate, and say that, yeah, it's high. And that's the same thing with a lot of things. It's the same thing with gun violence, that 20% increase. It's vaguely exact. We don't know every aspect about it, and it's hard to measure. But you can get a rough idea from that. If you don't collect any data, you will fully live in the dark, and all we can do is speculate. And that's all we've done this whole time. It's just speculate. Because we don't know. There's just no more.
I haven't made any speculation at all. I haven't made any speculation at all. I've only pointed out where we have not looked. So if we look at everything, we may have the wrong numbers. Is all I was saying.
All right. I'm looking forward to the next conversation on guns.
No, we're done with guns for the time being. Tune in next week for our 5 episodes about gun violence.
Well, let's take it down to the gun range, and let's actually, see what people are doing with these guns. So let's actually meet some of these people that own these guns. Let's do the good thing and stop putting fear in guns and putting the faith back in the people that have them. That's my
On that note, Kellen, you want to take us out?
Yeah. You all know the drill. You like, comment, and you subscribe, unless you're already subscribed, and in which case unsubscribe and subscribe again. Start arguments in the comments. The meaner the better. Share with all your friends who want to grow our community, get conversations started. You never get such unscripted moments as you do here, do you, David?
Indeed. That what makes things go viral. Okay, so hey, everyone knows my position. I'm done with talking about guns.
We've had our words.
So we'll see you the next time. Like, share.
Buy a gun and like our show.
We're your political innovators here at JM Washington. See you the next time.